Hello again, this is Fandish with the Dimension Touring Company, and tonight we're doing episode 4, which is going to be building our structure. As you can see, I already have it started, because otherwise this episode would be really long. It's still going to be broken down into probably multiple parts as we go into putting this together. And right now I mostly have just an empty frame up. I've got some boundaries set. I've got this curved facade done. I have 2 flickering rectangles. Let's just go ahead and offset that. And what this is doing, this is going to square off this room so that it's much easier for us later on when we try to put the door and the windows and actually build a room in here. These are going to have to come down, these rectangles, and they're going to have to get replaced with planks, which is what the facade is made out of. Let's go right back around front. And we'll get started on this facade and how it was actually put together. Any kind of curved surface like this is not as hard as it actually looks. Bridges, arches, curves, they all work off the same theory. And we'll go ahead and get started. Now before, this is how you're going to do a bridge, especially if you ever build one by hand. You want to set an initial curve, and for this I went with 20 degrees. So we're going to rotate 70 and 90, minus 70. Yeah, minus 70 and 90. There we go. Now we're right. And for this, we're going to offset 0.001 in the Y. And if you look, the Y matches this arrow right here, which is going to move it up and down. When I move things in Y, the green arrow is the only one that's lit, and so this way this makes it easy to see which axis you're actually moving it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset. As you can see, I'll offset here. I'm going to offset in the pitch by 5 degrees. And a lot of times making these things is experimentation to see what actually works. And then paste. And that was the wrong way. We need to go another minus 5. Paste. And then line it up. I'm not going to worry too much about these being perfect. We're just going to throw these together to demonstrate how it's done. Now a lot of times when I build with whatever's in my bags. So not all of this might be limestone. I might run out and then have to switch this out with wood. In this instance, however, these wood planks are annotating in the center. And they're annotating that this is going to be where the placement of the door is. And the original drawing that I'm working off of has a big arched window about right in the middle of this structure here. So we're going to end up replacing these planks anyways with something smaller like tiles or rectangles that we can reshape much more easily than a plank, because I'm going to want that window open. But the door is going to end up being closed. And the reason for that would be the planks that we're using to make that flat surface back there. And then again, line it up. Now we're coming up on the 90 and the 90. So, and for these you will want to copy and paste each piece individually. And it actually did turn out right. Now since this is a double width here, we'll make this one a double width as well. And there goes that toolbox bug, and that took care of it. Now one thing you'll notice is if I offset by minus 5 again, and then I paste, what the heck happened there? That happens a lot when you start making arches like this on Toolbox, where you start coming off the 90. We're still going -5, but for this one, we need to actually annotate what that rotation is. Reset and paste, and now we have our curve. Now you can set your curve as much as you want to. For this, I chose 5 degrees. For most bridges, I usually do about a 3-degree curve, which is a very shallow curve, and that helps make it so that it's smoother and it makes a nice graceful curve. And then you would just rinse and repeat this all the way until you get back to the same degree that you started from, which in this case was 70. So this would be our last piece. I'm going to make sure that it registers. And that's how you make the front facade. And we're going to go ahead and pick all these up. I highly suggest, if you're going to make a lot of arch shapes and curves and circles and everything else, build a bunch of templates in various sizes, so that way you only have to make them once. You know, and you can turn them in different directions. I'll have the same arch pointing, turn 3-4 different directions, just so I can keep reusing it over and over again and only have to make it one time. So now how about these towers? Well, this one has already been saved whole, so we're just going to move it over in one big chunk. But this bigger one in back, we're going to actually show you how that got put together. Now these back ones are just considerably larger than the front towers because I'm actually intending to use these. My plan is to put a door right about here on either one of the 2 front towers. And in that door there's going to be a PvP banner that'll teleport visitors to the 2nd floor. At the 2nd floor they can run around and do whatever, and in one of these towers there's going to be a spiral staircase to which they can run back down. So we want to try to make these towers as item friendly as possible, but they also have to be big enough to move around in. These little towers are not very big to move around. For the front towers, the rectangles are all at size 4, and on the back ones they're at size 6, because my plan originally was to put at least one room inside a tower before the staircase going down. But let's go ahead and get started. Our set here is limestone octo 6, and you make that octagon exactly the same way as you did the one for these little towers that we did down below a couple episodes ago. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we want to load at the original location, which is going to be over here, and load. Uh-oh. We need to move it back so I can get out of the way. Otherwise I'll be trapped in there. And then we want it about halfway across. It doesn't have to be perfect. The definition of a folly is a building is strictly for decoration. The difference with this one is we're actually going to make something that could be used. Now that I have it moved into position here, I want to save the set again. And then just as before, we're going to find it here, load it, see those toolbox bugs again, save it, and load it again. So now I've got my base set, and it's at the right height to where it'll match this one. So I need 8 more rectangles, and I'm just going to Control D because it doesn't really matter what orientation they're facing. 7, 8. Both set. And the reason why we're using rectangles on these on all the towers of the building itself is because according to the picture I'm working off of, Blaze Castle has windows on the arches and not your typical little arrow slit, but full-blown arched windows, and they're pretty a steep arch, which means they're not rounded. Now these back towers only take 3 sets. If I would click them right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another thing that you'll find with Toolbox many times is that it won't select an item. As I stated previously, this add-on hasn't been updated in almost 2 years, so it does have some quirks. There we go, it loaded. And we raise it up so we can defeat the flicker monster. Pull this excess one up. And there we go. And then you place the topper on just like you would for the others. And to do that, the easy way to do that in this case, I use Dimension Tools and Toolbox. I use Dimension Tools primarily for this thing right here, the Tribal Magic. I used to use the Magic Carpet add-on, but this table is a lot smaller than a carpet, so it's much easier to see in tight spaces. Now for this is big enough to use a distance indicator to at least help us get a little bit closer so there's not as much manipulation here. So now I can copy on the distance indicator, and then I can paste on the Dwarven Octagon wall with an offset already in place. Now the use new items where it pulls directly from your bags, that only works if you're using like items. Like if I want to pull another set of 8 rectangles out, I can use new items. But for this, they have to be different, or they have to still do it like I would with Toolbox. And then put it in position. And now I can fine-tune my alignment, which is kind of difficult when I'm sitting here looking at a facaded underside and it's not really making too much sense there. So what I can do now is I can copy this one, use my new item, paste, and voila, I put the second one on, and then I can just move them both in a group anyways. My sizing here isn't the same as it is over here, so I want to scale these to match, and then make sure that there's not too much overlap going on here. And just by sight, I can raise that up. Now normally I would create once I created the first tower, to make all of them the same, I would go ahead and save this first tower as a set and just copy it over in one piece. So now I'm going to copy, take out that offset, uncheck that, copy. I'm going to snag up that dome roof right there because I'm out and I don't have that artifact set completed on this character. Raise it up, put it in position 1.82. And there we go. And that's it. And then later on we can add embellishment to the tower itself, as well as to if there's anything additional that we want to add to the roof, like a cone or anything else to add some decoration. So now for this one here, we're just going to move over that whole tower because I've already recreated it. I've already saved that whole set. So there it is. Do the printout, tell me what I need. 32. You see this one takes considerably more items than the last one. Okay, I've got all my items pulled out of my bags here. Now, just to make sure everything gets selected. And we want to load at the original location. And load set. And there it is. I'm going to close out Toolbox so I can see what I'm doing. And try to line this up pretty much as close to exact as we can get it. But I'm more concerned about the outside walls at this point than I am anything on the inside. I still have my little tunnel here so I can get in and out. I do have some large cool lights set up here to help me see what I'm doing. Because once you're making fine adjustments, things do become very difficult to see. And let's take a step back and see how it looks at distance. It's not too shabby. And so now we have the basic part of our frame done. We can go ahead, run inside, pull up those rectangles, make some adjustments here to the distance indicator that we've got inside to where it's mostly centered between these two planks. This is the actual center of the building. See, we're still a little bit off right here, but the chances of anyone really noticing pretty slim. Now you see we've covered up some of our excess planks here so that we can actually go ahead and pull those out if we don't need them. If there's any excess material, I try to go through the material list and find them, because normally for builds like this they will take every item that you have. And so there we go. We have a rounded facade some walls, and some towers. Let's go ahead and get on the table again and mount up so we can go a little bit faster. And I'm not. There we go. And that's how it would look peeking through the trees. Bring my UI back up. Dismount. This is also a very tall structure, so I'm sure you noticed. And once the outside is totally finished, we'll finish the landscaping and then start to work on the inside. So when the next time you watch, this wall back here will be straight. There will be straight planks back behind this curve, and we will start working on the door, the windows, side windows, and separating the floor and the roof so that we're not half sand and half limestone in here with more hanging out the edges. Again, this is Fiendish from the Dimension Touring Company with the From the Ground Up Building Series. This is episode 4. Thank you for watching.